Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So today I wanted to do a real quick video showing how to take an image like this and turn it into an actual object in Fusion 360 like this, so that you could use it for your CAD model or for 3D printing and turn it into an actual object, something like this. So, if any of that sounds fun to you, why don't we jump in and talk about the workflow to make this happen. So the workflow is actually surprisingly simple. So the first thing you have to do is just find some image of interest, and usually the simpler the picture, the better. And again, this can be a bitmap, a JPEG, a PNG, whatever. The second thing we're going to end up doing is we're going to take that image and we're going to convert it into a black and white raster or pixel image. Next, we are then going to convert that black and white image into another black and white, but this time it's going to be a vector image, and this is going to have the file extension .svg. Finally, once we have that .svg, we can basically just directly insert it into Fusion 360. So, if that sounds fun, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here we are at step one. So I've gone ahead and found this picture that I like. It's a picture of Baby Bowser from Super Mario Brothers, and it's a PNG file. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this. If I open this up in just Microsoft Paint, you'll see that, yeah, it's just a picture, and again, what we wanted to do and what is going to make your life a little easier is try to get a picture that is as simple as possible. So something that's almost as drawn like clip art or very simply. So there's not a lot of complex brush strokes, and this is going to make your life a little easier down the road. Now again, this is it's a good sized picture. As you can see, it's over 1,000 by 1,000 pixels in either dimension. But it is a raster image in the sense that if I zoom in on this, right, you can quickly see that it starts getting pixelated. You can see the individual pixels and whatnot, okay? But that's no problem. We're going to deal with that right now. So what we have to do now is we have to convert this picture, which is obviously in color. We need to convert this to black and white, and there's two ways to do this. So the easy way is let's do this in PowerPoint, because PowerPoint is something that probably most people have already installed on their machine. All right, so I've fired up PowerPoint over here and started a blank presentation. I'm just going to go ahead and get a completely blank slide, and then just go ahead and drag your picture onto this slide. Now, what's great about PowerPoint is that it has tools to recolor an image, and basically it's going to help us turn this black and white. So if you just click on this image and then come up here to color, down here you'll see there are different levels of how you can change this into a black and white. Now keep in mind, we don't want a grayscale like this. We literally want just black and white. I only want there to be basically two colors, a black and a white. I don't want shades of gray. So that's what these options are. So you can see there's a black and white 75 and a black and white 50 and a black and white 25. So you can see what it's doing here is we're setting the threshold of what do you want to call black and what do you want to call white, right? So again, PowerPoint is nice, and then in the sense that it gives you sort of three granular levels. Like it's either very black, medium, or very white, right? So you can pick either, whatever suits your needs. We're going to look at another way if you want to really set that in a fine fashion. We'll look at that in just a second. But this is a nice, easy way. Like I said, if most people have PowerPoint, and if you can get away with this, this will save you a lot of time and energy. So let's do this one. This one looks good. Black and white 25. So I'll just click on that. Now notice it didn't get it exactly 100% correct, right? In the sense, if you look at the original picture, let me see if I can open this up, and I'll put that over on one side. You can see that it kind of got confused with the shading of these gauntlets that Baby Bowser is wearing, right? So it didn't exactly nail this, but that's okay, no problem. So let's go ahead, and now that we have this black and white, we want to now export this and save this. So again, there's many ways you can do this. I find the easiest thing to do is just come up here and say File, Export, change file type, do this as a PNG, and click Save As. And then I'm going to put this in the same location where I'm working on things in this demo folder. Let's call this, how about Baby Bowser, Bowser, black, white, how about PowerPoint, right? This is the black and white image we made from PowerPoint. So when you hit save, it is going to ask you which slides you want. You just want to export this one single slide because this is the one we created. And now if we come to that folder, here it is, the black and white version of that. So let's go ahead and look at this in Paint. So I'm going to go edit this in MS Paint, and you can see here it is. It looks great. We can kind of crop this if we want. Let me go ahead and move this. I'm going to select this and just move it over to the side, because I really just need only Bowser, right? I don't need all that extra white space everywhere. And now at this point, this is a nice way that you can go ahead and clean some of these up. So for example, these black spots that maybe you don't really like, you can go ahead and clean those up right here if you want. You can try to make this a little bit more smooth. If you notice right here, you can see this is kind of a wavy sort of pattern. It's not a nice, clean, smooth edge. So if you want to, feel free to, you know, grab your eraser. Whoops, that didn't work so well. That didn't work so great either. This is why paint is not the best for this kind of activity, but you get the point, right? You can easily clean up your black and white image right here if you want. So let's say this is good. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, close this. So here we are. This is one way you can go ahead and create a black and white image. Let me show you another way if you really want to get that level of black versus white dialed in. There's another way you can do this. So the other way we can make a black and white image easily is use the very powerful and very free new image manipulation program, or GIMP. So just go to gimp.org in any web browser, download GIMP, install it, and what you've got is a pretty powerful free image manipulation tool. So let's go ahead and open up our image. I'm just going to say File, Open. And as soon as that dialog opens, we are going to select the image that we had earlier, right? So let me go ahead and find that real fast. I think I stuck it over here. Right. Where is it? Right here in the demo folder. Okay, so here it is. Here's our color image that we were playing with earlier. So let's go ahead and open that here in GIMP. And now what we want to do is we want to turn this color image black and white, just like we did in PowerPoint. So to do that, come up here to the colors and click on threshold. And this is basically this thresholding operation similar to what was done in PowerPoint, except now instead of just having 3 levels, you now have a slider bar that you can use to basically cleanly and continuously choose what is considered black and what is considered white. So again, you can see this is what we had in PowerPoint. I think when we chose 75%, this was the 50%ish, and you can kind of see if we keep going down. I think it was something like I'm having a hard time getting it there. Something like this, right? In PowerPoint, this was the last level they gave us of choosing between black and white, remember? And it had these spots that it sort of missed. But now in GIMP, we can kind of twist this just a little bit further down, and look at that. It goes away nicely. So this is very powerful. You can easily apply the threshold to the level that you want. So I'm going to hit OK. This looks pretty good. And now we're free to clean this image up as well directly in GIMP. So I'm going to zoom in. So for example, we look at this arm. You can see this is a little bit wavy, and this might not look the best. So I'm going to come up here to my pencil tool. Let's go ahead and change this to a little bit of black ink, and I'm just going to color this in to make it a little bit smoother. Because you got to remember, eventually what we want to do is we want to get this into Fusion 360, so I don't want these shapes to be super duper complicated, and you don't want them super thin. So for example, right here you can notice that this black image is pretty thin, so I'm just going to try to color this in a skosh, just to make the line a little bit thicker. And you can do this wherever you think is appropriate on your image. So for example, this line right here, maybe I'm going to color this in to make this a little bit easier to extrude in Fusion 360. And but there we go. This looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and now export this. So I'm going to come up here and say File, Export As. And sometimes this takes a little while, so give me a second. All right, the export image dialog finally showed up for me, but here you are. Let's go ahead and do a similar naming scheme where we're going to export this as a PNG. I'll call it BW for black and white, but now let's call this is the PNG that we exported via GIMP, just to differentiate it from the black and white that we exported via PowerPoint. So just go ahead and hit export, and then let's go ahead and pull up that, man, where did I put the thing? Oh, here we go. Oh, sorry. Couple more options. Sure, I think a lot of these default options are fine, so we're going to go ahead and hit export, and well, bam, there you go. Now we have three different images. You know, the original color one here. This is the one we exported via GIMP, and this is the one we exported via PowerPoint. So I like this one in GIMP. Let's go ahead and work with this one for the remainder of the discussion. So step 3 in this process is now we need to get this PNG, which is a raster or a pixel image, converted into a vector-based image. All right, so keeping with our theme of powerful but free image manipulation software, to convert this from a raster to a vector, we're going to use Inkscape. So again, I would recommend go to inkscape.org. Go ahead and download and install Inkscape, and I've done that, and let's bring it up here. And what we need to do now is let's go ahead and get that black and white image, that raster image, right, that PNG imported into Inkscape. So again, come up here to File, Open, and we are going to go ahead and find that file. So where did I put that file? Okay, sorry, I always have to poke around and find it. I wish these browsers had the quick launch a little bit more easily accessible, but okay, so here we are. So again, we are going to want to use the GIMP version, right, that we made here. So here's the black and white GIMP version of the PNG. So let's go ahead and open this, okay? And you can import this using the default settings. It's usually probably totally fine. And there we are. For whatever reason, this thing sometimes goes a little bit wonky on me, and I have to move this thing manually. Okay, so there we go. Let's blow this up, make this a little bit bigger and easier to see. Okay, so here we are. So again, this is the raster image. And again, you can notice that if I zoom in, you can see there's pixels all over the place, right? You can see the individual pixels. So what we want to do now is we want to have Inkscape basically trace this and turn it into a vector for us. So to do that, what we're going to do is you come up here to Path, and then say Trace Bitmap. Okay, and then you get this little dialog window to show up. Okay, so now we have to pick which image we want. So I'm going to come over here to this black and white PNG, and I'm going to click on it like such. Okay, and you see we get all those arrows showing up. Now you come back over here to this window, and if you click on Update, you should see what the resulting traced bitmap is going to look like. So if you click Update, there you see this is what it's going to do. So this looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And what that did is it actually traced it right on top of the existing image. So I'm done with this window over here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this window like such. And now let's grab and drag this off to the side. So now we have two versions of this image, and at this zoom detail, they look identical, but one of them is the vector-based image. The second is the raster or pixel image. So to figure out which is which, you can zoom in, and now, aha, look at this one. This one, you notice how when we zoom in, you see how the lines stay smooth, right? So this one is clearly the vector, and if we come over to this one over here, and you zoom in, you can see how it's pixelated, right? So this is the pixel version right here, so I don't want that any longer. So let's click on it, press delete to get rid of it. So now we only have the vector. This is what we want, and this is what's going to help us when we want to get this into Fusion 360, because these are all vector-defined lines at this point. Okay, so let's basically try to go ahead and save this as an SVG file. So to do that, I'm just going to come up here and go File, Save As. And there we go. It's going to save it as an Inkscape .svg. So let's go ahead and call this, yeah, sure, Baby Bowser, Black, White, GIMP. Maybe I'll add on a, how about vector? The file extension .svg is going to tell me enough, but this is just to be completely transparent and clear. So, okay, let's go ahead and hit save. And here it is. Here's our SVG file, which apparently Windows is not going to give me a preview of what it looks like, but we can now get this into Fusion 360. So let's fire up Fusion 360 and take the next step. All right, so here we are in Fusion 360. I've just got a little part that I've made. It's really simple. It's actually a little treat bowl for my dog. It's about 4 inches in diameter, but as you can see, it's a little bit boring. I kind of want to put this picture of Bowser, baby Bowser, down here on the bottom of this bowl to give my dog something interesting to look at while he's eating his treats. So to do that, we can basically import the SVG file we just made. So in order to do that, we're going to pick a surface to sketch on. So we're going to need a new sketch. So I'll just click on that. I'm going to click Create Sketch. And now it's really simple. Just come over here to the Insert tab. And now here we go, Insert SVG. So I'm going to go ahead and now insert from my computer, and we will find that picture. In fact, here it is. Here's the one we just made, right? The GIMP vector.svg, right? So now if you open this, now it looks like nothing happened, but you'll notice that you get this showing up, and actually if you zoom out, you should be able to see, aha, there it is, right? Let me flip this around so it looks proper. Okay. It's just kind of way too big. So we're just going to use some of these tools here to rescale the picture to get it more of the size that we want, as well as the orientation that we want. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this to the center of the dish. Let's go ahead and make the little, oh, there we go. That's looking great, okay? There we go. Aha. This is looking pretty darn awesome. Okay, so that looks great. So now let's go ahead and hit OK, and now it's basically just a normal sketch. And if I click Finish Sketch, since we were careful about making sure that a lot of these lines all formed closed basically profiles and surfaces, we can now extrude this. So I'm just going to go ahead and extrude the appropriate sections like this here, and then I guess I'm gonna have to get some of these ones that were kind of left over, some of these interior pieces like this and this. There we go. This looks pretty darn good. So now let me rotate this a skosh so we can see this, and let's just make it not very tall. How about 0.05 inches, okay? And now you may have to let this think for a little while, because depending on the complexity of your SVG, right, this sketch that you made could be fairly complicated, so it might be difficult to compute the actual extrude. So I'm going to give my computer a second to think about this. I'm running a bunch of other things simultaneously, so this is probably taking longer than you would like. Okay, that actually, I think, did it finish? Let me hit enter on that 0.05. There we go. Okay, so now it's computing the extrude. There we go. Think, and then hopefully, aha, there we are. Look at that. That looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna move this around. You can see, so it's basically, it's a full-featured 3D part in my model. So at this point, why don't we go ahead and 3D print this bowl? Since we're talking about 3D printing our Fusion 360 model, I'll mention that I've got another video discussing how to use Fusion 360 within your 3D printing workflow. You can get to that video by clicking on the card in the upper right of the screen, and I'll also leave a link in the description for this video. All right, so here it is. Check it out, hot off the printer. Look at this. I think the image came out very nice. So now we've got this nice treat dish for you. Okay, let's try this out. I've got some salami here, and I don't know if you'll believe me, but if I put salami down, usually he won't eat it if you just put it in a normal bowl. But let's see now if we put it in this bowl with a nice picture, a vector image that we put on. Oh, look at that! See, he eats it out of the vector image printed bowl. This is going to make snacking so much more fun for the dog. All right, so just to summarize, I thought I would provide a little cheat sheet of the entire workflow. So we saw the first thing you had to do was get your color image and convert it into black and white. And there were two ways we showed how to do this. The first is to use just PowerPoint. That was pretty darn easy. All you do is just go ahead and select Insert, put your photo in there, click then on the photo, and then click on the color option, turn it to black and white at whatever level that you're interested in, and then just export that slide to a PNG. The more robust way to do this was using GIMPs, and again, it was pretty easy. Just basically go File, Open, get that file into GIMP, and then go ahead and select Color and Threshold, and then you can pick which level of black and whiteness you want to use as a threshold, and then just export that again to a black and white PNG. Next, we needed to take that black and white raster image and turn it into a vector image, and we saw that the easiest way to do this is to use the free program Inkscape. So again, that was pretty straightforward. You go ahead and just do a File, Open, select the image of interest, use the default import settings to get that in there, and then you have to go ahead and actually trace that image, right, that pixel-based raster image, and turn it into a vector. So to do that, you use this workflow as outlined here. Of course, once you did that, you will now have both a vector and a raster image in Inkscape. You need to basically differentiate which one is which, and you need to delete the raster image so all you have is the vector image remaining. And then go ahead and export that from Inkscape as a file with an extension .svg, right, which is your vector graphic file. And then you're pretty much home free at that point. You can now add that SVG to Fusion 360 by basically creating a new sketch and then just directly inserting the SVG onto the sketch plane. So that's pretty much it. All right, so there you have it. A pretty easy way to take a raster image and turn it into an actual object in your CAD model in Fusion 360. So with that being said, I think this is probably a great spot to leave it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, I also hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel, as it says here. Surprisingly, if you just scroll a little ways down and click on that subscribe button, it really does help me continue making these videos. And speaking of the new videos, remember, new videos come out every Monday, so I hope I'll catch you at one of these future discussions and we can all learn something new together. So until then, I think I'm going to sign off. Talk to you later. Bye.